props to Ambitious Labs for this, is what I want to do is I want to integrate video calling into this. Now, we don't currently have that, and we're not going to have it for launch. But working with the team at Ambitious Labs, I've really learned the skills to be able to understand, right, how am I going to go about finding it? I think we've already identified that Jitsi will be the one we go for. But they also taught me how I can go through API documentation, understand what it's going to take to integrate something like that, understand how to use the API calls. And that way I already know that I'm going to be able to do it without having done it yet. So that was one of the really great things about working with the team. Yeah, this is all built with just the ChatGPT API. And I actually learned this through the Ambitious Lab program on how to integrate with that, how to set up the API calls, how the token system works. FlutterFlow does web apps as well, if not better, than Bubble. So my name's Calum. I'm the CEO and founder of Life. Life is an all-in-one productivity, organization, and collaboration platform, but it's built specifically for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who really want to get more out of their time, be more productive, and achieve their goals. So this idea really came from a study that I read, actually, which was that the average white collar worker is only actually productive for 2.5 hours of their day. Out of an 8-hour day, the actual amount of time they're productive was 2.5 hours. Now, I kind of thought, there's no way that can be true. That statistic sounds way off. So I actually did an experiment where I recorded my screen for the entire day. And I wanted to find two things. Firstly was, A, is this true? And B, if it was true, where was I losing the time? And what I found was actually it was very true. I think I managed 3 hours productive, but still out of an 8-hour day, that's less than 50% of your time being productive. And what was really interesting was the thing that I found was I wasn't getting distracted while I was doing specific tasks. It was when I was switching between tasks or switching between programs. So if I was using my email and then switching to my task list, or my task list going to my notepads, I would always be like, oh, I've seen that thing, let me jump on that. And then ultimately I wouldn't end up doing that thing to the best of my ability. I'd forget about the previous thing, stuff would slip off my calendar. So yeah, I thought actually there's got to be a better way of doing this. If I had one central place that did everything and that I'd never had to leave, that would just be golden for me. Now, I have ADHD, ADHD and Asperger's, which means I really struggle to stay focused even at the best of times. And I've really built this platform around what would help me and how I imagine a lot of other people out there really struggle with focus. We live in the attention economy where people are constantly paying with ads and things like that to get our attention. And I want people to be able to take that time back, live in a space that there aren't distractions, there aren't 20 different notifications from 20 different platforms going off all the time. Just one place to really get your work done and focus to be the best you can be. So yeah, that's the background behind Life.
Dude, that is awesome. And I think distractions are a massive problem to be solving right now. I live and breathe this quote: if you chase two rabbits, you will not catch either one. We all know that, especially as startup founders. There's so much shiny object syndrome. You could be working on this, and then you see this AI tool get launched, and then you see this influencer, flexing their MRR, this person talking about how they just sold their company on acquire.com. And there's just so many things fighting for our attention, especially as an entrepreneur or even as a working professional. Everything takes a hit, life, relationships, productivity, work, money, everything takes a hit because of distractions. And so I think distractions is a problem that if you can solve, I think it's something that a lot of the world can see massive productivity and way more output. So I'm super excited to see the solution that you've chefed up to solve this. Yeah, I think what is a $100 million, $1 billion problem, man. So is your platform specifically for people with ADHD, or is your platform specifically for a certain audience? I'd love to hear more about the niche that you're going after.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not specifically for people with ADHD. I think just attention generally. If you saw how distracted people are getting nowadays, and then you applied that to 10 years ago, I think everyone nowadays would be classed as having ADHD, just because of the amount of distractions and the fact that people really struggle to focus. Because we live in this, even people sitting down and watching an hour film on Netflix now, people don't do it. They're happy to sit there scrolling through 30-second content on their phone because that attention span has gone down so much. So it's really focused on, and I know this sounds quite broad, but professionals, entrepreneurs, and freelancers. So we want to give those people who maybe don't necessarily have the structure around them. I've always worked in small companies where there's not a lot of process, there's not a lot of being held to account for the things you do. So whether you're a freelancer where you're really there for your own time, whether you're an entrepreneur where you don't have somebody always kind of holding it over you going, what have you done, what have you done, what have you done, or even working in a small company where you don't have that level of kind of oversight. And it's really built for those people who are in that situation where they want to have something that is going to keep them focused, keep them productive, but also help them work towards their goals. This isn't just to reduce distractions, it's to really help people achieve their goals as well.
Cool. And Calum, like, you built this app, but do you know how to code? What kind of coding experience do you have? Do you have a computer science degree?
I absolutely do not have a computer science degree. My dad always worked in technology, and he always said, "Look, you should learn to code because it's the future." I was like, you know what? I have a couple of ideas. I'm going to learn to code. So I enrolled myself in a 2-day coding course, thinking, "Hey, you can learn to code in 2 days." Who knew? It takes a little bit longer than 2 days to learn to code. Started off with that, and I learned a bit of basic HTML, but that was it. And then I came across Bubble initially as a web app builder. So I spent about a year and a half learning that. And then the idea I had at the time was very mobile based, and I was looking for something that did mobile, and there really wasn't anything out there at the time. And FlutterFlow had just been launched. I think this was kind of 2020 time, so it was really, really early on in the lifetime of FlutterFlow. So I found that, and I was like, "Wow, this is incredible!" It worked the same way as Bubble, but as you dig into it more, it's completely different. Because something like Bubble, which keeps you tied in with their platform, you have to use their hosting. Everything is done within that ecosystem. So it's very much a kind of SaaS platform to build web apps. Whereas when I came across FlutterFlow, what I found was, hey, you can get your code out, you can put code in, you can build your own widgets if you need something like that. And it's a lot more open framework. So by using FlutterFlow, it meant that I could build the mobile app that I was working on at the time. I could launch it into the App Store and the Play Store. And then I kind of pivoted from that idea through to this. And I was like, well, hang on, this is going to be a web app. Should I go back to Bubble? But I found that actually, FlutterFlow does web apps as well, if not better than Bubble. Usually because it's built on the Flutter framework, everything loads up front. So it means that it's slightly slower loading on the front end, but once it's loaded, everything like clicks between pages are instant, stuff loads way faster, and you just have that complete flexibility of being able to launch on web, mobile, and even desktop if you want to. So yeah, FlutterFlow has always been a no-brainer. The company themselves, like they've got such a great team there, and just the amount of features they're shipping every single week, there'll be a new update, there'll be a new feature coming. One of the things I'm looking forward to at the moment is their rich text editor widget that's coming out, which is going to allow you to do a lot more with content through FlutterFlow. But yeah, there's so much stuff that they're bringing out, and it's not small minor back end updates; it's big feature rollouts that they're doing. So yeah, couldn't be happier with FlutterFlow, and it's definitely the way to go if you're looking to build either a mobile app or a web app.
That's awesome. So you are saying that FlutterFlow is the choice for a web app builder. That's been a very big topic of debate across the entire internet.
Yeah.
It's pretty much shiny object syndrome. It's like, do I want to use JavaScript? Do I want to use Flutter? Do I want to use Vue? Like, whether you're a no coder or even a traditional software developer, the shiny object syndrome is always going to be there in life, and no matter what you build. So I'm excited to see your perspective. I am biased because I've seen your app in action, and Calum is right. It's a very high performing FlutterFlow web app. So I'm confident that if somebody's watching this and they're contemplating building a web app in FlutterFlow, like, I think, Calum, you're about to blow their mind. Before we jump into the app demo, I got one more question for you. Calum, like, what are your goals with this, man? Like, I know you're working a job. Like, why'd you take the leap of faith to dedicate, the 6, 7, 8, 9 months of your life to building this solution, and dedicate, a significant portion of your life to building this thing? Like, what are your goals, and what are you hoping to achieve out of launching Life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's a couple of goals I have. Firstly, I mean, I'm very money motivated. I want to build this into a big company. I want to go out and raise capital. Even from the investors we've been speaking to, they're understanding more about the no code side of things. And actually, it's weird going into these meetings with investors where actually you're educating them now on what's coming. So a lot of them, sometimes you have people who really understand it. Then other ones you hear, oh no, FlutterFlow, you're gonna have to rebuild and everything like that. And why would we give you the money just to go and have a code and then go and rebuild it? And a lot of them don't realize that with FlutterFlow, you can get your code out. So you're not gonna have to start from scratch again. You can get your code out and then pass it to a professional development team later down the line if you need that. One of the really exciting things that I think is happening with FlutterFlow, though, is that it's really blurring the lines between no code development and traditional coding, because what I see in the future is companies using something like FlutterFlow as a drag and drop editor to build out a mobile app or a web app to 90% of where they want it, and then exporting the code and then doing the final tweaks or things like that they need to. It's not just a SaaS platform. It's what you call an IDE, integrated development environment. So when you see your coders there typing away with code, that's exactly what FlutterFlow is. But instead of writing the code, it's just visual. So yeah, that's really exciting about, educating investors about that side of things as well. But where I want to get through to the platform, I want to get to a point where we can raise our pre-seed rounds. I want to get to a point where, we've got a team of people working on the assistance side, which I'll explain later on. We have a team of developers, FlutterFlow developers, and some Flutter traditional developers, and really build out the team to get to a point where we can scale and bring this solution to the masses. As you said, I think attention is a big issue wherever you are in the world. Keeping people focused, companies are going to want it because they're going to want to get the best out of their employees, and that was another area that I really saw was there's so many tools out there. So you've got Salesforce for CRM, you've got HubSpot for marketing, you've got all these platforms which use technology to help a certain function within their business. But the one that I see the least of is technology that actually helps the business's most valuable asset, which is their employees. They're the most expensive asset that a company has. And often we see very little in terms of how do we augment our people with technology to make our people better. We augment different functions with technology, but not people. And that's really what Life is trying to do, is augment people to be better through technology. So that's what we're aiming to do.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. So you want to raise the pre-seed round. I think it's fantastic that you built the MVP or even the V1 with a low-code tool like FlutterFlow, because I'm a big proponent that these products that are outputted by these cutting-edge low-code tools are very scalable, especially when you're hooked up to backends like Firebase or Superbase. These aren't just going to be prototypes that you build once, you raise money on, and then you go hire a really expensive development team to rebuild. I truly believe that you can build a scalable business on top of this. So if I'm a VC and I'm looking at a founder who built an app with FlutterFlow, WeWeb, Superbase, Firebase, Revenue Cat, these are the same exact tools, Calum, that traditional developers are using too. And so if I'm a VC and I see that you, the founder, have built using these scalable technologies, I shouldn't be concerned that you're going to have to take my money, $300K, $500K, and then hire a $150,000 a year engineering department, or even just one CTO. I'm actually going to be a lot more confident that you know how to build a team, that you can hire somebody for $6K a month, $7K a month, who knows full stack, low code, no code development. And you can build an entire product department pretty much with one or two people, right? And so
Yeah,
I think
for
that
sure.
this is definitely the way to be building platforms for sure. You sound like
Yeah,
you
for
had
sure.
something
And
to say on top of it.
I think that this is a really big common misconception about no code, is that it's not scalable. So I talked a little bit earlier about my experience with Bubble and things like that, where I really struggle to see how that's scalable, because everything's run on it's not run on AWS, but it's very run around their own infrastructure. The servers are set up to manage how Bubble runs in their way, and there's no way to kind of tune it to make it work in the best way possible. But FlutterFlow runs on a separate backend. It's done through Firebase. That's Google. So if you're saying, can my platform handle 1,000 users, 10,000, a million users? The question you're really asking is, can Google support a million users? And yes, they can, because they're supporting billions of users already. So the idea that low code and no code isn't scalable anymore is just a thing of 5 years ago, because it's not like that anymore. You have a separate backend. My relationship, the people that I spend the money with, that's with Google and with Firebase. I'm not giving money to FlutterFlow to host my app or run my app or anything like that. I pay for their development environment, but that's it. Everything is run through Firebase or Superbase, depending on which backend you go for. So yeah, when I have a problem with backend, I'm speaking to Google, and obviously they've got the experts there, and I've got no question that they can scale to the level that I need to scale to.
Awesome. That's awesome. So cool. Awesome, Callum. So I think it's time for the meat of it all. Would you be interested in giving us a demo?
Absolutely, I'd love to. Yeah, let me share my screen and bring it up. Let me know if you can see that.
Yep, loud and clear. I can see it. Very cool.
Fantastic. So yeah, this is the dashboard. So this is where you'll manage your day-to-day life from. Just going from left to right. So we start at the top with just your taskbar. So I've got 2 open messages. I've got 16 open tasks that I need to complete. 5 open requests. These are requests with my personal assistant, which I'll get onto in a bit. And then 2 routines that I haven't completed for the day. So you can see here on the right hand side, I've completed 3 of my daily routines. So this keeps me on track and keeps me managing my time well, make sure that I'm building those healthy habits that I need to achieve my goals. So reading 20 pages before bed, I can track that. I can make sure I'm doing it every day. I'm going to go swimming after this. So once I've done that, I can mark it off and it'll update. Then we've got my calendar. So you can see here I had a couple of meetings today. Here's the current meeting we're in now. I can manage my calendar and my time through here. And you can see here I have 2 different accounts. So I've linked both my company account and my personal one, which means I can see my calendar across my entire day, whether it's personal or business. And again, this is about making sure people don't have to leave the platform in order to be able to do their work and not get distracted. So there were times when I was, doing my work, but I was like, hang on, actually, I just need to check what time this thing is. I'd have to get my phone out for that because my email account was on there, check it on my phone. Obviously, I'm going to have notifications on my phone. I'm going to get distracted again. And that was something that was removing time from my day. So again, linking it all into one. Same thing with email as well. So what we've done here is we've integrated with with Microsoft and with Google and also Apple. So that way I can pull in all my emails here. So this is my email inbox. I had a reminder from you earlier about this podcast, so I can see that here. I can forward events. I can forward emails. I can reply to emails from here. I can basically do everything that I could do with a standard email client. But again, it's all in the platform. I can even write new emails, attach things. So everything you could do with, say, Outlook, you can do within the platform. Next up is schedule. So this goes into a little bit deeper. If we go to, say, the one we're having here, I can mark attendance. I'm here, you're here. So now I know everyone's attended. I've got meeting notes here, which I can put in. I just put some demo ones in there. And I can also add meeting actions as well. So if I'm in a meeting and we have an action item that comes out of it, I can immediately just click add meeting action, and that will bring up a screen to add a action or a task that I need to do later. On top of that, I also have all my routines here. We were talking about this earlier. So I can see the routines I completed, but I can also see on what day I completed them and how many I completed. And if I dig into the data, so yesterday, for example, I didn't read 20 pages before bed because unfortunately I was out and I didn't go swimming, but I can see that I only completed 3 out of 5 of my routines. So I should probably be doing a little bit better. I'll go swimming after that. So that'll be 4 out of 5, and I'll definitely read my pages before bed. So this is your routine tracker and your schedule. So this keeps everything that you're doing in your day-to-day in one place. Now, next up, we have chat. So this is going to be your all-in-one collaboration platform. So here I've got my different chats down the left-hand side. I can create new chats. So this is open to everyone across the entire platform. So unlike something like Slack or Teams, where you have to have a Teams license or a Slack license, and you're going to have to add people to your workspace. I've been in 4 or 5 different Slack workspaces where I've had to go and swap between them. No more of that. All you do, log on, find the person you want to talk to, and start chatting with them. So here's a good example of that. And one of the great things about, and props to Ambitious Labs for this, is what I want to do is I want to integrate video calling into this. Now, we don't currently have that, and we're not going to have it for launch. But working with the team at Ambitious Labs, I've really learned the skills to be able to understand, right, how am I going to go about finding it? I think we've already identified that Jitsi will be the one we go for. But they also taught me how I can go through API documentation, understand what it's going to take to integrate something like that, understand how to use the API calls. And that way I already know that I'm going to be able to do it without having done it yet. So that was one of the really great things about working with the team, specifically Kamish at Ambitious Labs. That's been fantastic. That's the chat part. Next up, we've got the task list. Now, this bit is really important. So I can see here, I've got, I think, 16 tasks that I need to complete before we launch the platform on the 3rd of June. So not long to go, but there's a couple of things in here. So like empty list widgets and things like that. So I've built a full kind of Kanban board style thing. And as I mentioned before, FlutterFlow are always bringing out new features. One of the features they recently brought out is drag and drop. So I can take this, I can drag it into the other column, and it automatically updates it. So actually, when I originally built this, I had to have buttons like these to move them across. But within a couple of weeks, they brought this drag and drop thing in, and it was just a godsend to be able to do it like that, because it's much more modern and it's the way that you'd expect things to be done. So there's always progress going on here. And on top of that, I can also add a note to say, so this is make tasks update based on sender. Still need to do this. And you can see on here the assigned tasks. So when we were in chat, you would have seen an attachment thing down here. This isn't just for sending normal attachments like videos, images, and uploading files. What I can do is I can say, hey, this person, so my co-founder say, I'm going to go here, I'm going to do add task, and I can actually assign him a task. This will send a task through the chat, and you can see here I sent a test task for him to complete. I can see that he's accepted it. And then when I go into my tasks, I can see it there, and I can ask, where are you up to with this? So this is not just about individuals. This is about collaborating openly. And this is not just for companies either. So we're not just talking about an internal tool where a company could assign out tasks to their employees. I could be working as a freelancer and say, hey, by the way, I still need that payment sent through. I'll create a task, send it through, and then we can just say, oh yeah, where are you up to with this? When do you think it'll be done? And if it's overdue as well. So I can see here, these tasks, obviously they're only test ones, but these ones are overdue. So at this point, I'll be following up with these people. Next up is contracts. I'm not going to jump into this because this is a brand new feature that we're still building. But as you can see, a lot of these features here, so email, chat, tasks, contracts, they're all replacing traditional tools that we might use. So for example, Slack, Motion, Notion, Outlook, DocuSign or Adobe Sign. What we're trying to do is make sure people don't have to keep jumping between these tools. Because if you remember back to the beginning, the one thing that I said that I found that distracted me was not doing tasks, it was jumping between them. So by having it all in one place, I'm not going to have to go, oh God, hang on, I need to find my Adobe Sign login. Where's that? Okay, now I need to go through, okay, someone from Adobe Sign is going to try and sell me something there. Or, oh God, I've got to update my subscription there. So there's so many different reasons why using an all-in-one platform is just the best way to do things. But yeah, we've got contracts, which will be like Adobe Sign. I can give you a brief overview of it. So if you click on the first test one here, latest version, and you can see there's the contract. And if I click agree and sign, I can do the sign with a signature pad, or I can type my signature.
That is crazy. Can I stop you for a second just to ask, did you have to do any custom code to achieve this type of functionality? What I'm seeing here is pretty damn complex, and it's mind-boggling to know that you did this in FlutterFlow. What kind of custom integrations or custom functionality did you have to go through to do all this?
Absolutely none. The only thing that we've done is integrated with third parties. So things like with the email, with Outlook and Gmail, we've integrated with them through their APIs. But things like this signature pad, this is actually a standalone feature within FlutterFlow. You can just drag and drop it onto the page. It exports the signature as an image, and then all I'm going to do is I'm going to add that image onto the PDF. Now, one bit where I will need to go outside of FlutterFlow will be to append the signature to a PDF document. But again, if you go to somewhere like pub.dev, which is for Flutter code, so you can go there. It's a bit like GitHub, and you can find that someone else has already done it. I can import it in as a custom action or a custom feature. Put it in there, work it through with the AI that's built into FlutterFlow as well to get it all working as well, and then I can get it up and running. So while you may need to bring small things in from outside, FlutterFlow makes it really easy to do that as well, and it's a really simple interface and way to do it.
That's incredible, man. That's absolutely incredible. And how many
Thanks.
people were on your development team? How many people were contributing to this? Seems like maybe 5 or 6.
No, actually, you're talking to all of them. It's just me. I am the sole developer of Life. I've worked with a couple other people. So I mentioned Kamish on the team. I've got a developer I work with out in Cameroon who's helped me with some of the APIs. But in terms of actually the FlutterFlow build, it's all me.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow, that's absolutely incredible.
It's certainly been a learning experience, and as with everything, you get in there. And when I first got in FlutterFlow, I was just overwhelmed with it. I was like, I don't know where to start. Actually, funny enough, the way we got in contact, I actually watched some of your videos on YouTube, which were fantastic in terms of getting started and learning, how the backend database works, how the UI works. And yeah, I learned a lot from those videos as well. But as well as, the Ambitious Labs team having that really structured approach to how they impart the knowledge of what you're doing so you don't feel overwhelmed. Because I think that's one thing that really turns people off from learning new technologies is there can be so many different things. And FlutterFlow, by definition, they have to have this because there is just so much stuff that developers need to do. But it can be really overwhelming when someone new comes into it. And I think that's one of the things that students at Ambitious Labs have really enjoyed is that structured approach to, right, Don't get overwhelmed by everything. Don't look at all the different tabs. Let's start here. Let's get you logged in and signed in. Now let's talk about how we build this kind of page. And it was really structured approach to that just makes it a lot easier to learn than just kind of starting out on your own like I did.
Fantastic. That's really sick, man. Um, so
Awesome.
talk to me more about like the AI components of this, because I do see something that's staring at my face. It says Life AI. I know you have this personal assistant play too, and I think
Yeah.
nowadays more than ever, like people want personal assistants. I've talked to way more people these days who have personal assistants. Would love to hear more about like how that works in the platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to jump to the personal assistant part, and I think this really makes us stand out from other platforms because I'm sure people watching this will think, well, hang on, Google does this and Microsoft does that, and they do. There's loads of different bits that different companies do bits of. But one of the things that I realized that actually a lot of my time gets taken up doing really menial tasks, and you can see one here, which is a really good example. My oven broke the other day. Now, obviously, there's only me and my co-founder doing this at the moment. So all of this was him talking to me. I wanted to run it as a test to see how it worked. But yeah, my oven broke the other day, and I basically said, look, I need an oven engineer to come fix it. Most people don't have an oven engineer on call. You don't know where to look, you don't know where to go. And actually, that would have taken so much time, maybe calling up 5 people, 2 would have been too expensive, 1 would have been available, a couple would have been too far away. And that's just taking up a lot of your day when actually you could use that time a lot more productively. Now, most people hire personal assistants because their time is more valuable than it would take to do these things. And I think that's true for a lot of people, but a lot of people don't think, oh, I need a personal assistant. So what we wanted to do was give the Life members access to our own team of personal assistants. So we're going to have personal assistants who are on call 24/7, ready to help you with whatever you need. So it's 11 o'clock at night, like me, you find out, damn, my oven's broken, I can't cook anything. I just said, I need someone to come take a look at it. It stopped heating up. There's a weird noise it was making. There's my address. And this is what happened. They started chatting. So he said, can you confirm what make and model it is? I confirmed it, what was needed. He then quoted me on, what it was going to take to get someone over. It's going to be £106. I then paid for that through the platform as well. I just said, yep, it's approved, done. Ultimately, they had to come back and I had to get a replacement fan. So I paid for that through here and Life took care of the rest of it. So I just said, yeah, I need this done. They went off and did all the research and found out who could do it, who was available. And they just came back to me and said, sure, it's this much to get it done. I paid for it and that was it. It was done. So it wasn't a case of me spending maybe an hour, 2 hours doing the research, trying to find it, getting person over, organizing it. They did it all for me. So I could just get on with my day and focus on doing whatever it was I was doing on that day. And obviously you mentioned the AI part. This is very basic at the moment. So all of this is here is a ChatGPT front end. But again, there's a really good module in the Ambitious Labs course on integrating with ChatGPT. So, for example, I don't know, what should we ask here? What's the best no-code tool? Now, this is going to be really embarrassing if it doesn't say FlutterFlow, but we'll have a look and see what it says. Okay, so Airtable, Zapier, Glide, Bubble, Webflow. I think I know why this one hasn't said FlutterFlow because obviously ChatGPT is trained on much older data, and FlutterFlow probably wasn't around at that time. But I would definitely say FlutterFlow is way better than that, especially better than Bubble and Webflow. But yeah, this is all built with just the ChatGPT API, and I actually learned this through the Ambitious Lab program on how to integrate with that, how to set up the API calls, how the token system works. So at the moment, it's just a ChatGPT front end. Eventually, what we're going to do is we're going to train the model to be able to answer questions about your own data. So instead of having to go to, say, my storage system here, where I can find my files, I can have a look through here. I can see, I've got my LiveCorp files. I've got the stuff from when I was with Ambitious Labs. I've got contracts in here. Now, what I would like to do eventually is to be able to train the AI model to say, hey, where's my contract from working with Ambitious Labs? And it will then return that. Now, the great thing about the training that I've had and the stuff that I learned with Ambitious was that I know how to do that. I've not built it because I haven't had the time yet, but I know how to train the model. I know how to get the bespoke responses, and I also know how to attach the stuff to it using the platform that you guys use. So yeah, being able to build in AI, it's such a hot topic at the moment. I think a lot of people are just trying to throw out AI as a marketing gimmick. But if you really dig into it, there's so much stuff it can do. And a lot of the automation and the value of this platform is going to come from when we really layer in AI to each of the different parts. Assistant, for example. So we talked about the personal assistant part and how they're humans. Now, for finding somebody to fix my oven and call them up, that's going to take a human for quite a while. But if I said, hey, I need train tickets booked to, I don't know, to Scotland this Friday, well, that is something that AI can do. AI can find that. I can have an integration with, say, Trainline, who do trains here in the UK. It will return the results, say, do you want to purchase it? You already have a card on file, and the AI will be able to automate that process. Now, that's one less human that we have to have working as a personal assistant. It will be a lot quicker response time for you, and it just makes the whole thing flow a lot better. So there are so many examples within this platform for life where we think AI can be layered in to really help people be more efficient and more productive.
That's incredible. Awesome. Cool. So Calum, like, how far are you from launching this? And like, what is your like initial go-to-market plan look like? Your beta testing plan? Tell me more about like what comes next. So you built this really beautiful piece of software. What comes next as an entrepreneur, ready to launch this thing and take it to market?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we're going to be doing is digital advertising. Work really closely with Adrian from Ambitious Labs, who actually, if anyone's ever clicked on any of the Ambitious Labs ads, they would have been run by him. He's taught me a lot about the best way to run ads, what works, what doesn't, how you test different ads to see which works. So, paid advertising is going to be a big part of it. Now, one of the great things about Life, though, is a lot of this is going to be free. So we have different tiers. So if we go back to the dashboard, this is just the end of the onboarding flow. So we have a $14.99 price, $24.99 and $69.99. And obviously you get different things with those. But actually, a lot of this platform is going to be free. So for example, the chat system, free. Task list, free. Notepads, free. Life AI, free. Your password vault, free. Your network, which is your little black book, free. News, free. Life goals, free. So we're going to be giving away a lot of this stuff for free to get people in the platform and using it. A, that's going to give us feedback, but B, that means that more and more people are going to be able to use it and then realize, actually, hey, I do need file storage. I do want to have all my email and schedule accounts linked, and especially with things like chat. So if I'm a freelancer working with, say, a client of mine, and I'm sending out contracts to them via Life, I'm sending out documents through Life, I'm sending files through Life, they're going to get used to using that platform. So there's definitely an organic element built into the platform there as well. But on top of that, we've also been working with productivity and organization influencers who are going to be promoting the platform. It's great to be on this podcast today to talk to you about the platform as well. And I'm hoping people will be able to see this and really see the value in it and sign up. But yeah, we're launching on the 3rd of June. So we're getting very, very close. We're just tidying everything up, getting it ready to roll out our first few users on the 3rd. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're going to do some email marketing as well. I think when you're launching a startup, you always have an idea of, paid ads are the way to go, or no, I'm going to do organic, or I'm going to go down influencer. But ultimately, until you've tried it, you just don't know, right? So I think one of the best things you can do is try or micro try these different areas, whether it's influencer, paid, organic, email marketing, and really see what works, because different things work for different types of companies, and even companies within the same industry find success in different areas. So we're trying to be as broad as possible to see which channels work, and then we'll narrow it down as we get as we raise money and then start to spend more on advertising, whether it's influencer, paid, email, whatever it is. We'll narrow it down once we know what works.
Awesome, Calum. That was an awesome demo. I think that the app is super comprehensive. I know you've been working on it for a while. Can you actually? I do have one question. Like, have you been building this alongside a user base, or have you been beta testing this as you've been building? What's kind of your process been like for validating the idea to make sure that there's some market demand as you've been building it?
Yes, really good question. And I think Mark Cuban said it best. You should always eat your own food, right? You should always test your own product. So I have been using this as my day to day. So when I have a task, I actually put it in the task list. You saw the task I had there still to complete on the platform. I'm using the platform while still completing the platform, right? I'm using my emails through it. And if you are using it yourself, you will find the bugs. Now, there are other people that I've sent this out to. I get feedback from other developers. I get feedback from my target market as well. I'll run it past people who I think, actually, you're the kind of person that we're focusing on for this. And I've had really good feedback. One of my developer friends actually from Florida came over yesterday. Went out for some drinks. I showed it to him. He was like, "Look, I'm going to be your first customer because I am so distracted by different things at the moment, and I'm realizing that actually it is because I have about 1,000 tabs open at the same time." So yeah, getting feedback like that, and also making sure that feedback is from people who don't ask your friends and family, right? Because your friends and family will tell you it's amazing no matter what it is, assuming they are supportive. But yeah, they will say it's amazing regardless. So find people who actually are your target market, use it yourself, and those have been the best way to kind of QA test it. But yeah, we will be going through a full QA before we launch. But yeah, those are the real areas that you should focus on: testing it yourself and talking to your ideal client, really.
Fantastic, Calum. Thank you so much, man. That demo was really awesome. I think your storyline is awesome. I'm super excited to see where you take this. If anybody wants to learn more about you, about life, or they want to try your app, can you tell the audience how we can get a hold of you and access the platform?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to www.life-corp.co.uk, that will take you to our website. From there, you can sign up, get started, and get using it. As you sign in, there'll be an onboarding flow you'll go through to teach you everything about the platform you need. But yeah, head over there. And yeah, any questions, I am on Life. I'm on live chat as well. So callum.miller@life-corp.co.uk. You can find me on there. If you want to chat to me, just start a chat session and we can get chatting on there.
That is awesome, Calum. And I'll make sure to leave a link in the description to your social profiles and the platform. So thank you so much for the time, man. I'm super excited to show the world what you've been building. And thank you so much for being part of the community and helping the community grow. Thanks, Calum. Really appreciate it.
And yeah, no, look, I just want to also say thank you so much for Ambitious Labs. The education and the experience I've got from it, the people that I've met, and also just being surrounded by that community of other entrepreneurs and really driven and motivated people. It's really kept me focused on what I want to do. I've been able to test it with some of the community as well. So just having that structure there and that framework there to learn some things that I would have really struggled to learn on my own has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for bringing Ambitious Labs into the world as well.
Awesome, man. My pleasure. Thank you so much, man. Take care.